Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? I guess it is time. Yeah, we're gonna get our stream going. I guess since I hit the start stream like right at 3 o'clock, we'll just jump right into it. So hello, everybody, and yeah, welcome to our Saturday stream, and also Happy New Year, and welcome to our first stream of the year. Woo! But yeah, if you guys have never joined our streams before and this is your first time, welcome. Hope you guys enjoy the stream and check us out and check out our channel. And yeah, if you don't know who we are Wing Canvas, and at Wing Canvas, our mission is to make art education easily accessible to everyone. So join us for free live stream lessons on YouTube every week and level up your skills with our community of art nerds. And if you don't know when we stream on Mondays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time and every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you didn't know, we're also more than just a YouTube channel. We're an online school of illustration and visual storytelling dedicated to helping artists turn their passion into income. And a huge shout out to our amazing students and members for supporting our mission. We love seeing your incredible artwork and watching you guys grow in our classes and weekly critiques. And if you'd like to dive deeper, definitely join our Discord. Check us out there. And on Discord, you can access stream notes and demos and exclusive artwork, art challenges, and more free resources to help you improve. So come connect with fellow art nerds and get inspired. And yeah, there we go. There's our little quick intro. And again, yeah, welcome to our stream and the first one of 2026. It's definitely going to take me a while to remember to write 2026. But yeah, and I did see in the chat somewhere if we're going to be shouting out the art challenges this stream. Unfortunately, I do not have them ready, but that is a good segue and a good reminder that we do usually do art challenges every time we stream, and we like to give a little shout out to the community. So if you didn't know what that is, here is a little glimpse as to what that is. So every month on Discord, you can go on our Discord, and if you scroll down to the art challenge channel, there is a new prompt every month posted by one of our team members, and this month's art challenge is a 30-minute concept. So we want you guys to post any of your drawings or pieces that took you about 30 minutes. Try to really time yourself and stick to that time limit and see what you come up with. And if you are able to, and you have the software that allows you to screen capture your drawings, definitely do so. We would love to see your progress and how you come up with a drawing in 30 minutes and how your drawing transforms from the very roughs to your finalized version. So yeah, that's this month's challenge. Definitely start uploading. I already see that there are a few pieces up there, and hopefully on Monday we'll get a shout out some of your pieces on our stream. So yeah, this is our way of just saying thank you to our community and giving you guys a little bit of spotlight on our live stream. So definitely this is another incentive to join our Discord if you are not part of our Discord, because yeah, you get to be a part of an amazing community of art nerds, and you get to participate in little challenges like these, and you might even get us to shout you out. So yeah, with that being said, we're gonna jump back into the stream itself, and as you can see by the title, today we are doing eyes, and we're gonna be trying to draw as many as I can, I guess. On the prompt, there was no specific number, so I'm just gonna try to go at it and do as many different eyes and as many different angles and styles as possible, and to just kind of quickly go through how I do them. So if you have any angles that you want me to draw, or if you have any suggestions for any type of style in particular that you want me to do, definitely let me know in the chat, and I will try to keep an eye out for it, and I will try to include it in the drawings that I'm going to be doing for today's stream. So it's a pretty straightforward stream, I think, but I see a lot of kind of 3/4 angles is one, and oh yeah, and if you want to specify the specific direction the eyes are looking at, that could be one of the suggestions that you point out. Yeah, I'm early for once for one of these lives in a long time. Hey, glad you can make it. Glad to see you here. And yeah, it's gonna be a good one. I think this is going to be a pretty chill stream, so definitely like if you want to draw along, or if you want to kind of just sit here and put me kind of up on your screen in the background while you're doing your own drawing or your own studying, yeah, this one's going to be a good one to kind of relax to, I guess, while I draw some eyes. Okay, so as usual, if you guys have never been a part of these streams, we try to do a little bit of a lesson, kind of, to kind of demonstrate what we're going to be going over and what we're going to be drawing. So, there are some few things that I want to kind of cover when it comes to eyes. And funny enough, today I actually drew a lesson on eyes. Maybe I can kind of show you what we worked on today as a little shout out to our classes. So this was a painting study that I did for class today during our morning drawing and painting session. And but yeah, we went over a whole lesson on eyes and how eyes work. And so I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek, I guess, or a little bit of a shortened, condensed version of that lesson. But I'm going to be using some of the stuff that I went through here in class and put it onto the stream for you guys as well. So when it comes to eyes, there are a few things I like to keep in mind. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think the eye painting also turned out pretty good too. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it came out. Yeah. So when it comes to eyes, there are a few things that I like to keep in mind. One of those things is that when I am drawing the upper and lower lid, maybe I'll write this first. Things to keep in mind. Things I like to keep in mind. A really long title. I like to kind of make up the upper and lower lids with kind of make the eye kind of like a hexagon type shape. So the upper lid, or maybe I'll kind of write it out as such. The eye shape I try to keep it closer to like a hexagon. Eye shape kind of like a hexagon. So a hexagon shape. The other thing, I try not to make the eyes too symmetrical. No symmetry in the eyes. That is a big no-no. No symmetry in the eyes. Unless you're purposefully kind of intentionally going for symmetry, then I guess you can. And if the style and the character is meant to be a little bit quirky, I guess you can kind of aim for symmetry. But typically try to not go too much into a symmetrical eye, or else it could feel a little bit imbalanced in a way. And then lastly, I'm going to play around with when I'm doing eyes, and especially if I'm stylizing, I'm going to try to play around with kind of the line weight. So I'm going to keep in mind of keep line weight in mind. What does that say? Bro's handwriting is better than mine. Well, you know, I appreciate that. I don't think my handwriting's that neat or that good looking, but you know, I like my handwriting. I don't know if I'd consider it neat, but yeah. Keep line weight in mind for different styles. Different styles. Okay, and I feel like it's kind of easier to kind of demonstrate it rather than to just kind of write it all out. So to kind of show you a quick example, and I'm going to continue drawing down here, maybe the first set of eyes or so, but to kind of show you what I mean by that, I kind of grabbed a few, like 5 images of 5 different artists who have somewhat distinct different styles, but they're all kind of artists that I personally really like and kind of keep them in mind in terms of like inspiration. So you have the more kind of graphic geometrical shape. I think it'll be kind of fun to play around with a style like this for one of the eyes that we draw. So in this kind of approach and style, you can see that there's not too much of an outline. It's actually more created through shapes and positive and negative shapes. It's actually a lot of restriction, or maybe like withholding how much line work you use to carve out the shape of the eyes. But these shapes have to be very strong, they have to be very like apparent and kind of not in your face, but they're very identifiable because it has to be very, very clean since there is no line work to it. Oh yeah, so unfortunately, as Kevin says, we do not stream traditional on this channel anymore. Keep an eye out for future updates on our traditional art offerings. Yeah, it's hopefully I'll be able to kind of do some more traditional stuff, but yeah, we'll see how it kind of comes through in the future. So this one is by an artist called Saigon Radio. Yeah, definitely check out his artwork. He's got some, like, I think it's a guy, actually I don't know, but check out their artwork. It's like really, really cool, very graphic and very shape based. A lot of big kind of geometrical, very clean kind of art style. So yeah, check out their stuff, really, really cool. And then here's one by Jinku Makes. And this one leans more, I guess, into a little bit of like an anime type of style. So this one definitely has a little bit more of an outline approach to the eyes. So we're definitely I'm gonna give a shot to trying out these two styles because I feel like these two are a little bit closer to kind of how I draw. And then this one is a little bit more scratchier style. So this one's gonna be fun to try out. I sometimes like to do this, but it doesn't always go the way I want it to because this is not a typical style that I'm used to doing. But we'll kind of give it a shot. And then this one is by an artist that I also really, really love. Unfortunately, his stuff is kind of very pixelated. So this is the most zoomed in version of this drawing that I could kind of screenshot really quickly. But what I love about it is that it's kind of a combination of the first person's art style, very geometrical, very big, very kind of graphic in its shape, but it's still like very rendered, and very kind of almost slight mix of like anime, but Disney, very kind of a contemporary style. Meaning that it's not overly too beautified and curvy in the way that Disney likes to do the eyes, but it's not super anime in terms of like its sharpness and its graphic like qualities. And then we have one by The Animated Life. So if you love Disney stuff, definitely go check out her work. She does a lot of really, really beautiful drawings that pay a little bit of an homage to like the old school Disney art style. She does everything digitally, but every now and then she does a lot of these monthly challenges where you draw a piece every day, and she does a lot of them in pencil, crayon, and watercolor as well. So if you're kind of interested in that kind of style and in the Disney subject matter, definitely go check out her stuff. She's like one of the first artists that I think I started following on Instagram, and yeah, her stuff is amazing. So definitely check out these artists. But the reason why I wanted to show you guys is to show that how you kind of set up your lines, how you kind of set up the eye shapes and the line weight, and the just like the positive and negative spaces and the shapes and the line work can go a long way in just curating different eyes. So I'm thinking maybe for the first few eyes we can draw them relatively the same, like the same angle, same eye direction, but then I'm gonna change up the style a little bit so that we can kind of see how just by changing the kind of approach to it, it can really change up your style. So if you've ever been kind of curious about finding your own art style, or you're having trouble kind of figuring out how you like to draw, I highly encourage doing this kind of an exercise where you draw the same thing or same subject matter over and over again, but you change up the approach bit by bit. And the approach could be in the proportions and the shapes and in the line work. And then this way you really get an idea as to like what is the limit or the possibility of what style can be or how you like to stylize. Because one of the biggest things that I like to remind students a lot is just that you won't know what you like until you try it out. So definitely experiment to figure out like what are the limits of your own personal preferences when it comes to stylizing. I like the angle of head tilted down to one side and the eyes looking to the side and down the other way. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for the suggestion. I'll like maybe try to include that in one of the angles. But yeah, that's a great angle to try out. I love kind of down looking or up looking kind of angles too. Those are tricky for sure, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, with that being said, let's get drawing. So we'll start off with a few eyes. Let me see. I'm gonna break up my layers here so that I can I know what is what. Sure, we'll go with this. With samples, and then we'll put another one here. Yeah, we'll do eye, or let's group these. Let's go like eyes. And eye number 1. I want to give it a little bit of like a gray backdrop, or let's do a graphic backdrop. Let's go with something not too harsh. Maybe let's go with like a light blue gray kind of backdrop. I think that would be a good one to start off with. So what I'm trying to do is just give myself a little bit of a background to draw the eyes over. And I'm going to try to approach this in a very traditional kind of approach where I'm going to try not to erase too much. But also, hello everybody for joining. I see that there's some new people hopping in and joining us, so glad you're able to make it. And I'm going to draw it in a slightly darker blue, just so that it's not too distracting. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. So the blue stripe here, this is essentially just the backdrop, as I like to call it. A backdrop. And then I'm going to draw the eye here. We're going to call this the rough pass. Actually, maybe I'll use the drawing that I showed you guys to kind of demonstrate typically how I like to draw or go about doing any kind of study or drawing. So this was the piece that I did for class, and this was the reference on the left, and this was the original drawing. So this is what I mean by the first rough pass. So this is kind of like the drawing to mark out roughly where I kind of think the drawing should be or where things should be going. And then after I get that in, we do a little bit of a block in, and then once the block in is there, we don't need the lines anymore, and then we slowly build in the details for the piece. Now, obviously, we're not going to be painting it, we're going to be focusing more on drawing, but the approach is going to be somewhat similar in this one over here as well. So, yeah, quite eye-catching. Haha, nice one. Okay, so let's see. Let's start off with something kind of simple, and yeah, let's start off with something simple. So we'll go with like just 3/4, and yeah. Well, maybe we'll like change it up, play around with it a little bit. We'll tilt the head a little bit up. And something like this. Also, you know, just like doing these kind of studies are always like fun because you don't have to draw the whole entire face. You can just go ahead and play around with the different eye shapes and sizes that are there and have a little bit of fun. Although the downside to it is sometimes I think I personally can see myself kind of messing up a bit of the proportions a little bit if we were to do this. Yeah. Was an eye-inspiring. Oh my gosh, Kevin. Even saying it out loud, it's like eye-inspiring. It's close enough. It's a good try. Because that's the vibe for today. Yeah, I feel like everybody's in a good mood, good cheery mood, good way to start the year, you know. And I want to push the nose a little bit in, just a little bit more. So the first eye we're going for is maybe one that is looking off camera a little bit. So I'm trying to kind of block out roughly where I want the eye shape to be. Maybe we can make it a little bit bigger. Maybe something like that. We're not going to include the nose because we don't need it, but put it there just to kind of help balance it out a little bit. And let's kind of figure out this eye shape here. So the head angle that I'm working with here is a little bit more turned. So it's not a more open 3/4 as I like to say it. So what that means is like the head is like just about to transition over to a profile view, or it's starting to head into that direction. And so what that means is that the spacing between the two eyes are going to be slightly closer, and the nose is going to start to obscure the eye shape. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for. And then the other thing that I try to keep an eye out as well, there's going to be so many eye puns, oh boy, is the tear duct over here. And I want to make sure that the tear duct on the other side also aligns as well. So this is going to be the eye that we're going to start off with. Maybe it's a little bit too close. We'll still move it a little bit further away. And I'm trying to block out the shape or the pose for this eye. So I'm not going to rely too much on guidelines. So this is something that was actually brought up a little bit in the class today, which is that do I use guidelines when mapping out the eye? And I would say that I do, but I usually do it to check after I've designed the face. So because the face can be very, I would say there's a certain kind of momentum and flow when you're drawing a face. I find that when I rely too much or too heavily on technicalities, I can get really caught up on making sure things line up with my guidelines. The problem with that though is that even though the guidelines might make your drawing more solid, sometimes technical guidelines can restrict the feeling of the drawing and can make the drawing feel a little bit too stiff. So I'm not going to try to rely too much on guidelines just yet. We'll use it a little bit just to help guide the drawing afterwards though. So here we have a little bit of an eye. This one, I guess we're going for a more rounder approach. This one's going to kind of kick us off. And then we'll kind of use this eye to design the other eyes and the other styles. So we'll give it a little bit of a eyebrow. And we'll try to draw different types of eyes too, in different kind of maybe age groups and different types of peoples and different kind of characteristics and different eye shapes there as well. Don't want to draw the same eye over and over again. There, I think that's pretty good. And then maybe we'll add a little bit of hair here. I feel like even though the focus are the eyes, the surrounding elements can play a big role in how we portray and how we perceive kind of the eye shapes that are there. So even though the focus is mostly on the eyes, I think it's okay if we add a little bit of like the hair around it as well. So this is kind of like a first start. I think this looks not too bad. It looks pretty good. Maybe let's push in the nose bridge a little bit more, like around here. There, that's pretty good. Guidelines. Oh man, it's it's begun. The puns have started. Last are 2025. Wait, did I write 2020? 2026. Josh, last are of 20. Wait, what? 2025. First in 22. Oh, I did the last stream of 2025 and then first of 2026. That's true. Yeah. Year of the Josh. Oh my gosh. we'll see. I mean, you know what? Sure. I'm here all night. Yeah. I'm here all year. These jokes are hilarious. Oh boy. At this point, we've become a little bit of like the chat has become a joke book, all eye related. 34 degrees Celsius is killing me. Dang, really? 34 Fahrenheit? I mean, right now, I think for us, it's like -6. I don't know, right now. Celsius, though, so. Who knows? Oh boy. Sorry if the puns are too corny. Ha ha ha. I was working on drawing eyes, so it came at the right time. Oh, hey, guy. Hey, glad you could join us. Yeah. You know, if this one's gonna be a punny and chill stream, so if you want to kind of draw along while we stream, it's gonna be, yeah, it'll be a fun time. Josh gonna go to sleep with eye puns. I know. I can already foresee all the puns coming down. Okay, so gonna maybe straighten this one out a little bit, or yeah, somewhere around here. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so with the rough pass, I'm actually gonna only maybe lower the opacity down a little bit, and then we're gonna go to a dark color here to draw this one out. Oh, and also, by the way, if you're using Krita, the brushes that I've been using so far is this one, Chalk Grainy, to do the backdrop, kind of this blue pass. And then for the rough drawing, I used this one here, which is good old charcoal pencil medium. It's kind of my go-to one. It is adjusted, so I have changed the settings a little bit, but the one I'm going to be doing most of my outlines for, and this is the brush that I've been using most recently, is going to be this charcoal pencil thin. So that's going to be my go-to brush, and I'm trying to treat this to feel kind of more like traditional, so I'm not going to do too much erasing, and I'm going to just draw it as is. So hopefully goes okay. Goes well. And yeah, so even though we're doing a eye drawing, gonna put a okay amount of time in carving things out. So this first attempt that we're going to be doing, we're going to keep it fairly kind of cartoony, a little bit more on the Disney side, a little bit more kind of friendlier, rounder in shapes, so you can kind of see that I'm using a softer brush. And also keep in mind of like the type of brush that you use can also kind of affect and influence the result that you'll get. So I'm using a more textured, more traditional brush to get this more kind of old school traditional pencil feel to it. So if you like it, definitely when you're looking for brushes and when you're going for your drawing, try to keep that in mind, that the types of brushes that you use can have a little bit of an effect on your drawing. I'm gonna whittle that down a little bit, not have it be too strong. So as much as like the way you draw the eye and the style that you go for and how you draw the eyes does play a huge role, a big one is definitely the brush that you use. So as much as I think I like to say that like brushes don't really matter, they don't to a certain extent, but it definitely can do some heavy lifting when it comes to style. But I think like in the beginning, when you're first starting out and you're first learning how to draw, the type of brush you use is not too big of a deal. Actually, let's go for a nice classic blue. Make a nice kind of family, kind of Disney feeling. Give it a nice solid blue, royal blue kind of a color. Give a little bit of a highlight here on the eye, and then we can add a little bit of the swoop for the nose. So when it comes to noses, I try not to overly outline the bridge of the nose, so that's kind of something that I've kind of preferred more. Now obviously depending on the art style and the kind of feel you're going for, how you draw the bridge of the nose, completely up to you. But sometimes if you want to have the character feel a little bit airier, a little bit lighter, and not too heavy-handed on the line work, I would recommend definitely not outlining the bridge of the nose too much. -6. Yeah. It's like 93 Fahrenheit. Holy jeez. Yeah, that's too hot. I am happy that it is cold. Which I know that for some people I say that I'm like, oh, I prefer the cold much more, but that's because I hear weather like that where it is 90, 95 Fahrenheit, and I'm like, no thank you, I don't want that. I am good with the colder weather. So hopefully you are staying hydrated though, and cooled down inside or indoors, and well ventilated so you don't overheat. Yeah, that was pretty good. I'm trying not to overcomplicate it too much with this style. So with this style, when it comes to like the eyelid and the brows, I'm gonna try to make it fairly straightforward. I'm not trying to add too many extra flourishes that I didn't already have in the original design, and I'm gonna keep it fairly like simple, basically. Because we're so zoomed in on the eye, any extra changes can have a little bit of an effect on the drawing, so I'm trying not to add too many extra flourishes. Maybe we'll just add this one over here, and then the corner of the eye will also round that out as well. Now the eye, lower lid, especially for this style, I'm gonna keep it fairly light, so I'm not gonna try to overdo it too much. I'm not gonna make the line work too heavy. So if you want this more Disney kind of style, or more kind of this, yeah, Disney cartoonier look to it that's not quite like exactly anime, then I would say like be a little bit lighter on the lower lid and be heavier on the upper lid, and have the upper lid be fairly solid. Yeah, we'll keep it like this. Yeah, have the upper lid be fairly solid, and this way you get a drawing that kind of comes off a little bit more like family friendly in a sense, or a little bit more like nostalgic to like childhood in a way. And I'm gonna have the eyes be like really big and solid, just again to kind of capture that more whimsy, more childlike aesthetic and look that we're kind of used to when it comes to like the more Disney style. So I kind of went into this one with that mindset where I was like, oh, I want it to be a little bit more Disney style. So that's why it kind of looks this way. So like the really big eyes, the very clean, accented, and clear visuals as to like where the eyes are looking, and very clean shapes. So nothing too extra, nothing too over the top, just to really capture that more simplified but very precise and clean look that the Disney style has. And I think that's kind of like the biggest thing that people kind of don't realize about the Disney art style, is that it's a lot more precise and a lot more it's a lot harder than people tend to give it credit for. And it's because you have to be very, very careful with how you shade things in, how large some things are, and where you're pushing things. But yeah, then here we have our first kind of eye. Maybe we'll add a little bit of some eyelashes on this one over here, just a bit. I tend to try not to overdo eyelashes too much, or else it can kind of overtake the form or the shape. So just a little hint of it here and there, I think, is like usually good enough. Yeah, Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Okay, so, and then we're gonna finish it off with a very solid pass of hair. I'm gonna go around the eyelash just a little bit, just so that it's still hinted at, but it's gonna be lost a little bit in the hair design, in the flow of the hair, I mean. Maybe we'll switch it up to the brush, the big chalky brush. And then the finalizing, the detail, we're going to leave that to the thinner brush. So the bigger pass, we'll leave it to the big chalky brush. Give it this nice, big large wash. And then any smaller details, we'll leave it to the tinier brush. Long hair usually sits a little closer to the eyes, so that's kind of why I'm bringing it fairly close to the eyes, to have it frame the structure of the face a little bit more. We'll have a few loose strands, but not too many. Again, we want to keep the details and the busyness pretty like low. Nothing too over the top. But yeah. Let's see what some of you get. Oh, what program am I using? I'm using Krita. So Krita is a great program if you are just hopping into like digital for the first time. I highly recommend Krita because it's free and it's very easy to use. Or at least I find that is very easy to use. Some people still have a little bit of say that they tell me that they can't quite get used to Krita because maybe they're more familiar with like Procreate or Clip Studio or Photoshop, which is totally fine. Everybody uses a different software, and depending on what you kind of first learn, you sometimes are just more used to the first one you're exposed to. But if you've never tried digital painting or drawing before and you want to dive in, I do highly recommend Krita. It's just a very easy one to jump into, and besides, it's free. So yeah. But let me see. You don't want our 115 Fahrenheit summers? Oh man, as nice as that may sound, I do not want the 115 Fahrenheit summers. I like it nice and cool and cold. It's very organic but extremely precise at the same time. Yeah, exactly. The Disney style is very unassuming in a way. Catches a lot of people off guard, especially if it's like people don't realize that there's a lot of actual structure that goes into kind of the Disney art style. But yeah, it's an amazing art style, but it takes a little bit of work. Do you spend more time sketching for fun, learning versus work? I find that I seem to get lost when doing it for fun, and sometimes it comes a lot better that way. Oh yeah, no, for sure. I think when it's for work, there's a little bit of like more time restraint. There's a little bit more pressure in the pieces that you do. So I feel like there's always this kind of, yeah, I guess pressure is the best way of putting it. And that pressure can sometimes throw off what you're comfortable with doing. And so when we do like exercises or when we're kind of just practicing for the fun of it, we're a little bit more looser and we're a little bit more okay with some of the quote-unquote happy accidents that we might make. And sometimes it's those happy accidents that can make our drawings the way that it looks. It can add a lot of personality and character to it. So I think that when you're trying to tackle work, drawings that are made for work versus drawings made for fun or for personal, try to find a good way to transfer some of that like energy or like mentality into your work pieces, because you want to kind of still showcase that this is how you draw, even for stuff that's more quote-unquote official. And when I say energy, I don't mean like spiritual energy or anything like that, but kind of like the momentum that you have when you're drawing is a little bit different when you draw for work versus for fun. I'm just starting out on art in general. I made my first serious drawing 2 days ago. How are you able to keep your lines so straight and confident? That's that's always the kind of question that everybody has. I would say that when it comes to line work and such, it really is a matter of the more knowledge you have and the more kind of information you have on why things look the way things are, so things like proportions, anatomy, it does help a lot in making your drawings feel more confident. So the line work, I get this question a lot. Everybody always loves asking, like, oh Josh, how are your drawings, how do they look, or why do they look the way that they do, and like how can I kind of get that same kind of approach or confidence? And part of it is just practicing a lot, using your whole arm, relying on using the entire movement of your arm and not just using your fingers or just your wrist. Obviously I still use my wrist and my fingers, but it's kind of almost like the movement of my arm affects the whole thing. So it's not just my fingers and just my wrist. I'm using everything when I'm coloring, when I'm drawing. So your line work gets more sturdier. Your line work gets more confident, quote unquote. And so yeah, it's just a lot of practice, but also learning to use your whole entire arm when you're drawing. That will really help your overall kind of approach. And let me make it a little bit darker so we get a little bit of like some shadows under here. Make the eyes feel like they're glowing just a little bit. Maybe we'll just not have that. That's a little bit too much. We'll just keep it with the eyes and the shadows. I think that'll be good enough. That's good enough. Yeah, I like that. Alright, cool. This is our first take. I feel like I could probably crop this in a little bit more. Yeah, I'm gonna crop it in a bit. I don't know, we'll see. Not that part. This part. There we go. Yeah. Have some eyes peering at us. But in terms of like clean lines, it's just learning to not be too tense. It's kind of actually it feels counterintuitive because you're like, oh, in order to get better lines, I have to be more like, I have to put more strength into my hand, or I have to grip my pencil harder in order to have more control. But it's actually the opposite. You want to have looser lines, or not looser lines, but if you want to have a better lines and more control lines, you want to be looser in your arm, you want to be looser in your hand, so that when you're drawing out the lines, you're able to move it in whatever direction that you need to move it in. And especially this is the case if you're using your whole entire arm, then being loose is actually the key, because if you're looser, then you can guide your arm wherever you need to guide it. So instead of using just your fingers and your wrist, which only allows you a very limited amount of range of movement. So for example, if I only use my wrist, this is all I can do. And then if I use my fingers, this is all I can do. And it's very inaccurate. It's very kind of hard to control precise movements, especially if they're long kind of movements. It's very hard to kind of control it in that way. So instead, if you kind of just use your whole entire arm and you're loose and you need to follow something, you're able to be a lot more looser in like where you move it. And you don't have to lift up your pen. Now I know I'm just drawing squiggles and be like, oh, look how much I can control it. But learning how to be very loose and draw squiggles is a good way to get you to understand how to move your arm and how to control lines. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes just having the simplest of lessons can help a lot. Okay, so this is one. We're done one eye. Eye number 1. Okay, and then we got eye number 2. We're gonna do the same, or I'm gonna try to do a similar drawing, but now with a different style. Actually, so this way, I'm gonna use this to my advantage. I'm actually just gonna duplicate the rough pass and move it into here. We're gonna move it down. And yeah, this way I don't have to redraw the whole eye again, but I can show you how I would reapproach it in a different style. So yeah, it's gonna be kind of fun. Love doing kind of different style exercises. Yeah, I think it's good enough. Yeah. And then we're gonna do a different drawing in a different style. So this one, I'm gonna keep the same brush. So I'm still gonna be using my charcoal pencil thin, but now I'm gonna change up the style a little bit. And what I'm gonna change up is by just making things sharper and a little bit more angular. So I'm gonna show you how I usually draw. Or actually, maybe we'll use a different, even like line weight in a way. So let's see what happens if I make things a little bit more angular. Oh wait, use this brush. I'm gonna redraw it, start it. Maybe we'll like flatten this one a little bit, flatten the cheeks, since we're not doing the more softer, rounder approach and style. I'm gonna flatten the cheekbone a little bit so I don't have, so it kind of still maintains a little bit of that roundness and kind of that more. I know it sounds like, wait, what? You're gonna flatten it to maintain the roundness, but if I do this, it'll make the face too kind of sharp in a way. So by flattening it, but kind of keeping the same angle and trajectory that the cheeks would be going in, the cheekbone would be going in, it still kind of keeps the same character in the way that the eyes look. And let's go for a more sharper brows. And this one, I'm going to change the approach in terms of like how I map out the eyes. So like I said, I'm gonna keep it fairly flat. We're gonna use like very straight lines, and we're gonna see what happens. This is the fun part about experimenting, is like I don't even know really exactly how this is gonna come to fruition. I'm just kind of relying on the drawing that I already have, and I'm just approaching it in a completely different style. Has a bit more of like a Samurai Jack look to it. I'm gonna push the brow out, and I'm gonna flatten the nose bridge a little bit. Yeah, let's push it this way. And let's go for thicker outlines. No line weight, so I'm not having any in and outs with the line weight. I'm keeping everything fairly kind of uniform in terms of its line weight. And then yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing. So you can kind of see that it already changes the personality and character of who I'm drawing. The same angle, same approach, but the look is a little bit different. I've also made the eyes like slightly larger in a way. Let's add a little bit of an indent here to kind of keep the wide-eyed look. So by keeping the eye away from the upper eyelid, it actually makes it feel like the eye is a little bit kind of wide-eyed. And then we'll do a more kind of triangular cutout here. So like thicker eyelid, more sharp, and then I'm gonna do the same thing Gonna have a bit more boxier, kind of an eye. We'll see how that looks. Might have to change some stuff, might have to improvise a little bit, but I'm gonna give myself this as my starting point, just to see how it looks. I think we're gonna sharpen it, lean it in a little bit. Something like this, maybe. We'll do the same thing. Have a triangular cutout for the reflection in the eye. And in this case, I might actually kind of just not fill it in too much. Yeah, and then the hair we'll do, actually we'll change it up. We'll have it be more straight. Have it be more angular to kind of maintain the style approach. And I need the same thing though with the hair on this side. I need it to still cut into the eyes a little bit. So we're gonna have it here, go this way, and then maybe we'll have it go down here. So something like that. So you can kind of see that they're a little bit different. Still kind of the same, but a little bit different. Yeah, draw those squiggles, yeah. Only some basic changes so far. Yeah, it has a completely different vibe, so this is neat. Yeah. She looks more serious. Yeah, that's kind of why I say like the Disney style is a little bit more quote-unquote family friendly. It's not necessarily the case that it always will be family friendly, but a rounder, more softer look gives it, well, I think it's because in North America, we typically, when we see this style, we associate it with a more family-friendly film, because most animated films that we get in North America in this style fits more of like Disney or DreamWorks, or I guess recently kind of like the Sony Pictures animations kind of style. And so we're very kind of attuned to this style being associated with family friendly. Whereas like this is like, oh, it's breaching into like maybe like more mature cartoons like Samurai Jack or Legend of Korra even, or even like stylized anime. So how we associate with different shapes and line work is also how we kind of view the styles that we want to aim for. So sometimes when you go in with a mindset of knowing what style or kind of tone you want to aim for, can also help your approach in how you go about drawing things. Ooh, definitely gotta shrink the size of the brush a little bit. And I think we'll do this maybe, based on time, we'll do this maybe like one more time, where I'm gonna do this a little bit differently again, using the same under drawing, so you guys can see like how much we can kind of take this and run with it. But yeah, so far kind of liking how this is looking. It's kind of cool. And we'll add the wisps of hair into it afterwards as well. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions. I know that it's not necessarily a Q&A type of a stream, but if you guys have any questions, do let me know and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. Yeah, so even the hair that comes down, we're going to keep it very geometrical. We're going to keep it very flat and clean, so that it kind of, again, stays true to the shape language that we've kind of carved out for this kind of style. So very strong, very bold in the line work and in the structure of things. Yeah, maybe something like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Then we'll add in the shadows, and we'll move on to the one more pass, to doing one more pass, and then we'll move on to another kind of angle. And before stream started, I saw that there were some suggestions, or some suggestions on angles that people wanted me to draw today's stream in, so I'll try to include those. But yeah. hopefully this kind of opens your eyes to again, no no pun intended, but yeah, hopefully this kind of opened your eyes to like how you can experiment and try things out, because I think this is always fun, and a lot of times we can get very like scared or not too sure if like we should experiment, and then I find that like when you experiment, that's when you really get a chance to really push the limits of your drawing. So I'm always a big supporter of like trying to break the rules, try to experiment, see how far you can push it, and if you think that you pushed it too far, that there's nothing wrong with that. Then rein it back in, see where you like why it got pushed too far, maybe like where you got to make it a little bit more straightforward and simple. Like all those things are things you just need to take into consideration when kind of stylizing. Okay, well look at that. That's kind of cool. It's like two somewhat different styles. Kind of neat. And hello. I see some new people kind of saying hello here and there. Not eye related per se, but what artists do you look up to for inspiration for your stuff? Oh, yeah, that's a lot of that's a good question. I have a lot of inspirations, I guess you could say. I guess I can write some down. Let me see. We can give it a shot for some realistic ones. That one might take a little bit longer, but here, some inspirations. Maybe I'll write it on the side over here. Kind of speaking of Disney, this is probably one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to Disney. So, inspirations. Glen Keane is a big one. I always forget if I spell his last name correct, but it should come up if you look up his name, or if you spell this. He's one of like the earliest Disney artists out there, and he was also like an animator, so he's like great. And then this is another Disney animator, but he doesn't work for Disney anymore. He's kind of more freelancing, so he kind of hops around studio to studio, project to project, depending on what he can get. But Hyun Kim is another big one. So Glen Keane, I guess you can kind of say that this is the more classical Disney style that you guys are probably more used to. So Beauty and the Beast, Tarzan, Treasure Planet, Little Mermaid, like all those kind of Renaissance period Disney art styles. That is because of like people like him and Mark Henn and Andrea Dea. Those like are other great artists as well. Maybe I'll write it here because I feel like these guys don't get the same shout out as Glen Keane sometimes. Again, I might be spelling Mark Henn's name wrong. I don't remember if it's 2 N's or 1 N. And then you have Andrea Dea here. Also don't know if I'm spelling his name. It might be Andre Deha. Deha. But these three guys are kind of like the heavy hitters of Disney during like the Renaissance period. But Glen Keane is like the first one that I got exposed to, because my first art book that I ever got for myself was actually the Tangled art book. In the Tangled art book, the artist that they were like really pushing, because that was the last Disney project that he ever got to work on, was before he retired essentially, was Glen Keane. So Glen Keane was the first artist that I got exposed to into the world or realm of animation and character concept art. And I was like, oh dang, so he kind of had a huge influence on how I kind of started drawing. Not started drawing, but how I kind of started leaning more into like upping my game, I guess, so to speak, when it came to drawing. And then Hyun Kim is one that I still look to right now. He plays a lot into my whole philosophy on experimenting. If you go on Hyun Kim's Instagram page, you'll notice that he doesn't draw just in one style. He has somewhat of a style. You can kind of be like, oh, that's the Hyun Kim style, but he's always experimenting with lines, with shadows, with shapes, with line weight, with brush strokes, with even proportions on how he draws characters. It's like really, really cool, and I highly recommend that you check him out. There was a moment and a point in time around like the end of the 2010s and like during COVID period where I think everybody was trying to draw like Shiun Kim. So he's a little bit of in a way, some people go like, oh, of course you want to draw like Shiun Kim. But honestly, like, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And, you know, his style, his mentality and philosophy when it comes to drawing, it's like a really good one to abide by, I think. So definitely check out his stuff. Trying to think of like another artist that would be like good to recommend to you guys. Let's give a like anime shout out. You know, honestly, we'll go like, let me look up the name of the guy. I have this book like right next to me. So Atsushi Okubo. You guys probably would know who I'm referring to. I don't know why I wrote his last name all in caps, but he is the creator of Soul Eater. So I think like this is also another reason why I love pushing style and trying to experiment, because the way that he draws is very unconventional, I guess you could say, when it came to like anime styles. Everybody was drawing more like One Piece and like the typical shonen style like Naruto and Bleach, Dragon Ball Z, but Atsushi Okubo, he really kind of pushed the envelope, I think, when it came to like styles. So like it really kind of got me to go, oh, like, wait, you can draw like this, or you can really experiment or break the rules, quote unquote, in this way. So I think this had definitely a very big influence on like just the idea of going beyond what you or how someone could draw. And then we'll give a small shout out here. You know, I didn't grow up too much with the Batman animated series or Justice League because my parents child locked my channel, so I couldn't really grow up watching those shows. But it was like, it's so big that it went beyond just like TV. So if you know like Batman Beyond or Batman the Animated Series or Justice League, those animated series, he has a huge role in kind of like, I think, childhood kind of cartoon shows, especially for anybody who grew up in the 80s and the 90s, or who was born in the 80s and the 90s, would really kind of grow up watching a lot of Bruce Timm's cartoon shows. And like the style, I think, plays a huge role in kind of also how I go about thinking about breaking characters down. So these are some like really good inspirations, I think, to start off with. If you don't know where to look or what artists to check out, I definitely recommend kind of like all these artists listed here above. But, you know, obviously branch beyond that, find your own artist to be inspired by. But these are a good handful for me. Actually, this is the perfect kind of, I said we'll do one more, so I guess this is like the perfect spot. So we'll duplicate this one more time, and then we'll try out a different kind of eye angle. So put this here. Do this one more time, just as kind of how, you know, Spider-Verse says things. Let's do this one more time. We'll kind of group this on I3. Also, I'm so excited for the new Spider-Man movie. I can't wait for it to come out. Whenever it decides to come out, I hope they take their sweet, sweet time to figure out the story and figure out like how to like conclude the whole series. But I also hope that they give the artists enough time and rest, and the writers enough time and rest to kind of figure these kind of things out, because it's not easy coming up with an animated film, and I think it's definitely not easy trying to recapture the magic 3 times in a row in the way that Spider-Verse has done it. But I wish everybody who's working on the project all the best. Let's see. All I did as a kid was watch cartoons. Oh man, that I wish I was able to just watch cartoons only. What style should I go for? You know what? We didn't do an anime style, so let's go for like a good old anime approach. This one might be a little bit harder for me to kind of stick the landing on, but we'll give it a shot. Um, yeah, we'll give it a shot. What anime style should I aim for? Josh cannot relate. I know. I was locked out from watching cartoons. So sad. That's why he makes up for it now. Yeah, and I guess in a way, yeah. That's true. I am definitely not on the side monitor looking up inspiration. Let me see. What style of anime could I go for? Pretty good, or maybe let's go for... Yeah, let's go for this. I think this could work. So anime is a little interesting where there's so many different styles when it comes to anime. I don't think you could really kind of limit it and be like, oh, this is anime. Like, this is the style that anime should go for. But I will say that I think when it comes to anime, the style is a little bit more cleaner in a sense that sometimes there's not too much line weight and things are a little bit sharper, but they have like details to it. So it's kind of like the Samurai Jack style that I did up here, but it's a little bit more cleaner, and there's sometimes not too much line weight. So I'm gonna try to aim more for that. And sometimes they also outline the shapes that are there. So maybe I'll use actually the ballpoint pen for this style. I feel like it has to be a little bit more precise and a little bit more clean in terms of the drawing. Because I think it kind of is supposed to mimic like the G pen and kind of like just traditional inking pens that a lot of manga artists used back in that time. Let me see. There is some line weight every now and then, but I feel like it's usually very, very minimal. And we'll go for maybe a more messier kind of art style here. Josh be watching the news in Sunday probably because a newspaper with a... Why you gotta make me sound so old? I mean, you know what? I was a... Oh, Kevin's gonna probably know about this. Do you remember Metro News, Kevin? Was that a thing? I don't know if you know what that is. But Metro News was basically before everything went digital. There used to be like a newspaper stand that was free because Toronto Star was the newspaper, I guess, company that Toronto had, but you had to pay for it. Or you can kind of, I think you were allowed to grab it and read it in McDonald's, but then once kind of digital took over, everything kind of went digital. But before everything went digital, there was a newspaper brand called Metro News, which was for free, and they were at like every bus stop that was there. Yeah, I remember being like, no, you can't take away Metro News. That's like a staple. And I think like everybody was also kind of in that same mindset at first, like, oh, you can't take away Metro News, we need physical newspapers. And yeah, now they're all gone. So well, you know, it was a good while it lasted, I guess. But yeah, that was, I guess sometimes I would read the newspaper, but that would be like the limit. Add some of like the line kind of details that anime eyes would sometimes have. See if this works well. sometimes adding these little accoutrements can kind of break the art style a little bit. Might have to do a little bit of cleanup afterwards. Let me see. Okay, maybe we'll add like a few lines here for like the eyes. We'll add the eyelid over there. But yeah, he's secretly watching cartoons in the corner. I mean, nah, that wouldn't be possible. I would be way too distracted. Yeah. Metro in my city closed in 2014. Man, when did it close? Yeah, that sounds about right. I think around like 2014, 2015 sounds about right for me as well. Yeah. Kevin is still going through it. Why did you have to bring up old repressed memories? But you were probably well informed than the other kids at the time. Okay, but so as much as I like to go like, oh, Metro news, so sad. I mean, the news that they shared was nothing really quote unquote groundbreaking, I guess you could say. And the reason why is because like it was free. So you can only really get so much from the news from Metro News, just because it was whatever was free. Which was it's not a bad thing necessarily, but it just means that sometimes the news was very like standard, very kind of like, it's the news that you get from like Yahoo News basically. So it's not really like, it's not hard-hitting journalism or crazy editorials. It's really just kind of like the standard stuff you'd get from like Yahoo News. Or even sometimes just like the tabloids in a way. Again, no hate towards it. It's just yeah, you know, looking back you can kind of realize like, oh, they weren't doing anything too crazy. I don't know if this hits necessarily the standard of like an anime style, but hopefully you guys can kind of see what I'm doing here. This one's probably going to take the longest, because anime eyes, I feel like if you want to do it justice, you got to go real like careful with the line work and a little bit on the detailed side. So trying to be a little bit more delicate with the lines, kind of simulating that kind of anime line work. Sometimes that's there. I'm gonna combine the eye shape together as well. Guess we'll do that here. Kind of combine it. We'll make it a little bit more geometrical. So sometimes in an anime style, they will make the eyes kind of geometrical in a way. Like it's still very big and large and round, but they'll make it a little bit kind of angular in this way. It's kind of neat. It's very interesting. You see, how did I draw or depict it? Okay. Also, I'm not really going for any particular style of an anime eye. I'm just kind of going for it, seeing what it looks like. Thick eyebrows remind me of Tetsuya Nomura's style. Yeah, so I think that's kind of like the cool thing about anime for sure, is that it's very dependent on the anime and the artist and the direction that they're going for. So, you know, that's kind of the cool thing, is that whatever style of anime that you end up kind of loving, it will kind of change the way you approach drawing your characters. So you can always keep that in mind when you're drawing and designing for anime. Let's go. Yeah, let's go nice and sharp. Nothing too fancy. Again, very, very clean and simple, so we don't have to worry about it too much. Yeah, I feel like that looks pretty anime already. So I'm not outlining hair, but I actually just want to include all the parts of the hairs that would break apart, in a sense. So what I'm drawing in these like shapes are more of like the gaps in the hair, not so much the actual like individual strands, unless I want to show the individual strands themselves. Cool. Okay, so now we're gonna color it really quickly. Line pass. And then we're gonna color it. So in order to see the lines, we're gonna stick to a slightly brighter or dulled down blue, so we can still kind of see the line work that is there. Last time I read from Yahoo News was in high school. Nice. I mean, you know, I wouldn't say I read Yahoo News, but I definitely still kind of check in on it every now and then just to see like what's happening going on with the world, you know, from Yahoo News's perspective. But you know, this part is pretty like straightforward. How was anybody do anything interesting for New Year's? You guys do any good celebration? Play around with fireworks maybe? Don't know if anybody's playing around with fireworks, but if you did, hopefully you did it responsibly. Oh, I just saw that. Do I watch Stranger Things? I did. I haven't caught up with it. My sister just finished watching it last night. I don't know. She said that she quite liked the ending. Although she was like, you know what, the show honestly should have just been 3 seasons long. Like, it should have just been season 1 and then I think she said 4 and 5 combined together to make 3 seasons of the show, if anything. Like, if they wanted to prolong it, that was her take. I don't know what she means by it, because I didn't watch the show yet, but I liked the last season. Like, season 4 I thought was not too bad. I do think that this show did definitely go on way longer than it needed to. But I don't know. Hopefully some stuff ended not too bad, but no spoilers. I haven't seen anything or watched anything. I don't know how it ends. I don't know like what goes on, so no spoilers, please. I do intend to watch it eventually, one day, but just not now. Who needs news when you have cartoon? That's true. What's a good exercise to try to replicate a certain show's style? I try to create fan art, but can never create the same pen lines or something similar to the style. Yeah, recreating style can be a little bit tricky. And that's because the way that I see it, recreating style is kind of like trying to copy someone's handwriting. It's very hard, and I would say that you'll never be able to copy it one to one per se. You can get it very close, but I don't think you'll like. It's very hard. Not that I don't think that I think it's impossible, but if you really are like trying to copy it one to one, it's almost very hard and kind of not exactly impossible, but it's just very, very hard. So what that means is like when you go into trying to copy a style, don't try to be too nitpicky, because give yourself a little bit of a leeway. Give yourself a little bit of wiggle room and cut yourself some slack, essentially, because kind of just go in knowing that it's never going to be a true one-to-one, because it's like trying to copy someone's signature or handwriting. It takes a lot of work and a lot of observation and kind of dedication. But if you are to kind of try to copy someone's style, I think you already mentioned everything that you need to pay attention to. Things like line weight, try to pay attention to the different brushes that they might be using, or how they might be going about coloring something in is a very important one as well. Yeah. And also kind of proportions. So anime especially is a very interesting one where they are always constantly breaking rules, but not in a very logical way, if that makes any sense. So if you ever take a look at Disney's approach to character designs, they approach it in a very logical way, and it makes sense because they're trying to make it so that people can replicate and recreate the drawings over and over again. The problem with anime, though, is that if you try to recreate anime's kind of style, you have to kind of understand how they broke the rules, quote unquote. For example, I try to study Cowboy Bebop's style, kind of the very like 80s, 90s approach to character designs. And what I noticed is that they really, really elongate the head. The head does not follow the conventional head rules, so to speak, when it comes to character designs. So you just kind of have to go in with that and understand that they're not going to be following the rules in the same way. So when you're copying, just pay attention, pay a little bit of pay extra careful attention to how they're breaking the rules. So you know, like the proportions that they're using, the like how close are the nose to the nose, how close is the nose to the eyes, how close are the ears to the eyes. Like all these things might sound very kind of like maybe fundamental, kind of like common sense, but it's kind of like the make or break of whether you are able to replicate the style or not. So really, really pay attention to how in anime are they kind of capturing the proportions. And that goes for cartooning as well. Like if you take a look at like Steven Silver's style in Kim Possible, that was a style that I tried to copy and kind of pay attention to. And what I noticed is that Steven Silver really makes the ears really, really close to the eyes. And so if you don't do that, your nose or your eyes and your nose, like the proportions that are all there, are gonna feel really, really kind of wacky in a way. If you don't follow it the way that he does it. So you really have to pay attention to how different artists kind of stylize their proportions, not just the line work and the shapes, but also like how are they breaking up the different forms that are there in the character. Hey, here, we got a little bit of like an anime-ish style here going on. Here we go. Got 3 different styles. Hey, look at that. Ooh, nice. Let me see. Just gonna catch up with chat. So let's see. I ate like a dozen marshmallows or more. Jeez, that sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, that doesn't sound like a bad time. And then Kevin says, "Was I playing with fireworks?" No, obviously I was not playing with fireworks. I'm a law-abiding citizen. No, I was like ready to go home by the end after countdown. I was like tired. Spent New Year's watching a lot of movies. Oh yeah, that's like my way of spending New Year's. Just like put on a few movies and watch it until countdown. Woken up by 5 a.m. by fireworks. Jeez, that's crazy. But yeah. Oh, Just a Guy M20. Have you read The Simpsons Show Diary? Oh, that's cool. Help you understand how artists look at breaking things down. Ooh, I mean, I would love to see this too. I'd love to check it out. And then let's see here. Look at that. Kevin providing information that I didn't even know. Or that I want to take a look at. Let's see. Not anime, but in Bayonetta, they make her legs longer than it should. Yeah, that's a good example of one. But yeah, anime, because of how vast and how different and varied the styles can be in anime, it's very important to kind of pay attention to like how they're breaking things down in terms of proportions. Our piece one part of a time helps a lot. At a time. Yeah, for sure. I was just saying I need to practice eyes again. Perfect timing. Hey, glad you were able to make it. Stream has been incredibly helpful. You are such a good teacher. I'm excited to catch you more in the future. Don't worry, I'm sticking around till the end. Oh, well, thank you, Epsilon. Glad you're enjoying the stream so far, yeah. Sleeping in my New Year's. You've never seen the Simpsons style Bible? No, I have not. I mean, it looks cool though. Dang, it's 53 pages long. Woo. I mean, I'm down to like take a look at it afterwards. Happy New Year's, Josh. Oh, thank you, Joel. And Happy New Year's to you too. Lots of emotion with hardly any lines. Simpsons summary. Oh, that's kind of cool. I mean, that makes sense since it's all very like big shapes on The Simpsons. Okay, I'm gonna try out a different. We have like 30-ish minutes left, so we're gonna finish it up with some maybe like lightning round of eyes. So we're gonna put this away, and we're gonna maybe put this away, and we're just gonna go at it. So let's see. Let's grab back the. I like this color. I'm gonna stick with this color. Okay, so I saw that some people were asking for profile view. Maybe I'll do some profile view like right now. So also these might be a little bit messier because we're going for lightning round. Also, why am I doing the nose? Don't need the nose. Do like an angrier expression. Or maybe not angry, but just like more furrowed brow. So when it comes to profile views, definitely make sure that you leave enough of a bit of a space in between the bridge of the nose and the side of the eye, so that there's enough distance. Now everybody's eye is going to be a little bit different, so like some people are going to sit a little bit closer, maybe some people are going to sit farther. It's kind of up to you. And when you draw in the eyebrow or the eyelid, definitely give it a little bit of space so that it's not too close to the actual shape of the eyeball. Just gonna draw them very quickly. These ones are going to be a little bit more rough because I'm trying to go more lightning round style. Same thing with the lower lid. If you want to indicate it ever, make sure that it is sticking out a little bit past the eyeball so it's not too close. I'll use this one. Oh, okay. Bye, Joel. I don't know if you're still here, but glad you were able to hop on quick just for a bit. Or I don't know, maybe you're here for like a really long time. Okay, here's some eyes over here. Maybe we'll again add a bit of like the hair so that there's a little bit of context. I feel like hair, as much as this is like an eye stream, I do think like a little bit of the hair adds a long way in just like helping you understand the way the person looks. Kind of having a bit of like a Mako inspiration from Legend of Korra here in terms of like the hair style. Maybe it is Mako. I guess it in a way it kind of is, because like the uh, the eyebrows kind of like Mako's. I'll just say it's Mako inspired. I don't know if it's really exactly like Mako, like the hairstyle, the hairline. Don't know if I got it exactly the same. That's a crazy eyebrow. Yeah, I mean he's got a very iconic eyebrow, you know, with the this little like arch over here is pretty cool. It's a very identifiable kind of element, I feel like, for him. Now we're just kind of going for it. I don't think I'm necessarily going for any particular style, but we'll just kind of wing it and see where we go. So maybe we'll do some profile here. And then we'll do profile, another profile here. And kind of, we can go like more cartoony. Uh, Within, I mentioned thick eyebrows earlier. I meant eyelashes. Sure, we can kind of go for heavy eyelashes. Maybe I'll do that in the next one. That's a good suggestion. Give that a shot. Kind of a more 90s style of a character drawing. So with this kind of style, I would say like you're going for softer, rounder lines. Things are a little bit thinner. If you are going for this more kind of old school animation look, things are just a little bit more kind of, I guess you could kind of describe them as a little more perky, I guess. I don't know if that's maybe the best way of describing it, but things are a little bit more like eccentric in a way. Also, always place my eyes so far back in the profile. Really? Oh, okay. I feel like it's usually the opposite from what I see when it comes to students. I feel like people tend to put them way, way too close to the bridge of the nose. Let's kind of see what kind of. We'll give this person like maybe like some bangs. Again, we don't have to draw the whole thing, so I don't have to really worry too much about what it looks like. Too much. And yeah, we'll color it in really quickly. We're doing all of these on one layer. Hence the lightning round approach, where we're doing it really quickly, trying to make it a little bit more just kind of improvisational, kind of going at it. Ooh, shoot. Give me a sec. Hey, so yeah, kind of going for a more whimsical, curlier hair approach here. I feel like this is like Honey, I Shrank the Kids kind of a vibe to it. Let's go one more kind of style for the profile view. One more, and then we'll move on to something else. Don't do side profiles often. Oh, true. Oh, what should I do to improve my eyes? Just draw a ton of faces from different angles? Yeah, I think that's a good way. I think for myself, I do a lot of studies. So when I do this, like grab some references and I do these kind of style studies, I try to experiment with how I can depict the eyes that I see in the reference. So I'm not trying to copy it necessarily, but I'm more so just like, oh, okay, this is how the person's eyes look like in the reference. It's like kind of sharp, maybe. It's got a very focused stare. How can I capture that, but still like express kind of any kind of creative or artistic sensibilities to it? Go with something a little bit sharper, a little bit more stylized in the eye shape here. I don't know why I decided to have all of them look to the right, because I'm right-handed, so it's harder actually for me to draw the eyes looking to the right. I'm gonna have it be a little bit sharper. Also, with the bridge of the nose, try to have it start around where the eyes are. So if the eye level is around here, then you want the bridge of the nose, especially for more realistic styles of drawings, you'll want the eye to start, or the bridge of the nose to start a little bit closer to where the eye level is. Or else the nose can sometimes feel like it sits a little bit too far down. So I'm trying to have it be a little bit kind of like that. We can do like stylized eyebrow here. Yeah, so maybe to kind of demonstrate that, I'll show you what I mean. After maybe afterwards. Let me get this like forehead shape kind of down, maybe. Let's have it be this kind of hairstyle. This feels like you know, those warm-up exercises that some artists do, where some artists will wake up and they'll just be like, today I am going to grab a sheet of paper and just free draw. And I say that I should do that, but I definitely do not do that enough. Okay, so in regards to kind of like the profile eye, so this is kind of how it is for the face. You have your skull shape, then you have your face mask, let's say around here. And let's say, let's kind of go like, okay, this is where I want my eyes to be. The eyes are set around here. Now, if the eyes are kind of placed here, and then the brow is like here, this is what I mean by the bridge of the nose typically sits around the middle of the eye or around the eye line. So if I have the brow be over here, like kind of like that bump in the nose, a lot of people tend to kind of start the nose down here. And what it ends up doing is like, maybe it works, maybe it's fine, but it can kind of make the slope of the nose feel too low, and it's starting to swoop in a little bit too soon. And so it's a little bit too much. So what I usually recommend is to have the bridge of the nose be a little bit higher. And actually, if you look at some of your artists that you are inspired by, let's say they're like manga artists or anything like that, most of the noses will start roughly around here. So not down here, but like here. And it might seem like a very, very small change, but it gives the shape of the nose enough space to kind of settle into that angle. So if I start the bridge of the nose around the middle of the eye or around the eye level, it gives the nose that swoop, just enough space to settle there. And then you have like the mouth area, and then it kind of comes in towards the chin. So this is what I mean by like it starts roughly around the bridge of the nose. So not exactly like all the way down here. So again, if it starts too low, it just makes that swoop, the bridge, feel like the face is too flat. And you want to give your face a little bit of enough dimensions. And in order to do that, you want to raise the bridge a little bit. Yeah. Okay, let me see. We got 20-ish minutes left. Gonna draw maybe, so we did some profiles. Let's do some, I guess we gotta do the classic all three classic styles here. So probably this one, you know, we'll save 3/4 for last, since we kind of in a way did it already in the other one. So this one we'll call it front view. Now front view, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I am going to use the symmetry tool because it is too much work to try to do it all in one go. So we are going to use the symmetry tool. And I'm only going to focus mostly on the brow down to around, like, again, kind of similar to what I have here in the front, in the profile view. But one thing to keep in mind when you're doing the front view is to make sure that the eyes, the spacing of them, feel proper. So like they shouldn't be too close to each other, and if you guys didn't know, the spacing in between the eyes should be about the same width as the eyes themselves. Maybe we'll make it slightly higher. I don't know why all the first expressions I draw are like angry expressions. But I guess they're just like, it's a lot more fun to draw. Like big expressions. Oh, what? That was weird. Is this Krita? Yep, this is Krita. The kind of this is the software that I use all the time whenever I am streaming. Yeah, and I've been using it pretty much ever since I started working at Wing Canvas. Actually, I don't think I've ever swapped to in any other software since then. So yeah, it's been serving me pretty well. Actually, let me just erase these. I said I was just gonna do the nose, or like the eye and the brow area. Let's make him a little angrier. I feel like part of the angry expression as well also resides in the lower lid. So if you are going to do an angry expression, also make sure that the lower lid is slightly raised, just a little bit, just so that it kind of mimics how the cheeks would be pushing up into like the eyes. Okay, here we go. We got some angry eyes. Really using the symmetry tool desperate times. Hey, you know what? Like, there ain't nothing wrong with using the symmetry tool. You gotta use it. You gotta use it. Is my kind of take on the symmetry tool. Okay. There we go. Got an angry eye over there, and then we'll do a non-angry expression. Also, maybe I should move this over a little bit so we have some space. My expressions because I didn't get to watch cartoons. Yeah, exactly. What's the difference between Krita and Ibis Paint? Do I know? I do not know. I actually have never tried Ibis Paint, but I can imagine that it's probably not too different. Usually when it comes to different tools, the differences are really more just like how different softwares manage like shortcuts, or just how like different settings work. Most of the times, softwares run things pretty much the same. It's just that things might be placed differently, the settings might be just a little bit off, the default brushes might also be a little bit different, but for the most part, brushes, like every software works very similar to one another. Okay, so whoever asked for like big eyelashes, this is for you. Giving you big, flowy eyelashes here. Zesty thick eyelashes. Yeah, I didn't think of it like that, but sure. You know what? They are some nice flourishy eyelashes for sure. Maybe I will draw the nose. I feel like the nose is kind of like a part of the shape of the face anyways. And we'll give some smaller eyelashes here to kind of offset the face a little bit. put it back right here. Might be a bit off when I do it, but do like a semi more realistic nose shape in a way. Please demonstrate side view again. Sure, yeah. I can do it right here. I'll do it really quickly over here. So in a side view, you have the cranium, like the shape of the head. Then you have the face mask over here. Now, this is a more standard head size. If you want it to be more cartoony, maybe you can round up the face mask. You can maybe change the thickness of the neck depending on how muscular or realistic you want the face shape to be. And then the eyes, if you're just practicing how to break down the construction or the perspective or the proportions of the side view, just simply put the eyes around the halfway point. So somewhere around here, looks like that this is the halfway point. This is where your eyes are going to set. And then I would place the surface of the eye somewhere around here. So you want to really give the eye just a little bit of space between the bridge of the nose, like the surface of the face, and the edge of the eyes over here. So kind of define the surface of the eye, and the eyes are usually fairly just triangular. And then if you want to put the eyelids anywhere, the eyelids are going to sit just a little bit in front of the eyeball. So here, I'll draw a little bit bigger. If this is your eyeball, then your eyelid is going to be like right here. It's not going to be perfectly aligned with your eyeball because you want to simulate kind of the thickness of the eyelid. Yeah, I know my house is having some guests over, and so my dog is barking a little bit. And then your eyebrows here, and then you want a little bit of the brow to be here, and then you have the nose. You want it to start a little bit before the midline, or have it start around the middle of the eye, and that's because you want enough space for the nose to kind of settle before you start indicating the slope of the nose, or else it'll be too soon. Like, it'll be too low and it'll be too kind of smooth in a way that makes the face actually feel more flat. So you want to just give the face enough space or have the nose bridge start right where the eyes are, just so that it doesn't kind of come down too soon. He didn't invite us. Well, it was not. Also, this is a really quick demonstration. But hopefully that helps a little bit. And you didn't invite us. I know. I can't believe it too. How could I not do such a thing? Oh, it's not my guests. They're my parents' guests, actually. So I am also not invited to this smashing party. Okay, we got a few more minutes. I'm gonna try to do one more face here. Maybe we'll try like a slightly different style. Maybe more Samurai Jack kind of style. So Samurai Jack style, much more graphic shapes being used in the eye. And things are much cleaner and straightforward. I would actually kind of maybe think that there might not actually be a lot of line weight being used in Samurai Jack. For me, if I were to kind of go off of memory, I think a lot of it is just kind of very flat, clean line shapes. Something like that. And even like the brows and everything that might be here would be like very, very flat. So it could be something like this maybe. I don't know, This is like very quick for Samurai Jack. Maybe the eyes are a bit too close, so I'm gonna push it a little bit off to the side a little bit. So we have like 3 different kind of art styles when it comes to the kind of eyes. We gotta make our own then. What are my New Year art goals this year? Oh man. I've been toiling away at like this character design sheet, and I've just like, I feel like I'm too picky with it. So every time I draw it, I put it down and I don't like, and then I start over in a way. And I'm like, I go at it, get too picky, kind of go back at it, and I don't just never finish it. But yeah, give us some nice pats to your dog after the stream for us. Oh, no worries. The pats are always automatic. It's like, it's hard not to give your dog a pat, you know, on the head. Okay, we got like 4 minutes. Unfortunately, I don't think I have enough time to do like a whole set of 3/4, so do one really quickly. It might not turn out the best, but we'll give it a shot. Kind of go, let's go for one that's more like this. We'll give it a shot. We'll see how this looks. It might look terrible, actually. Maybe, yeah, this might be a bad idea. We won't go for this one. That's too much work. Go for something a little bit quicker. Aha, you guys probably all thought I was gonna go for the angry expression again, but we were going for surprised expression. We're gonna go for something more stylized. Or to face the fear of drawing hands. Hey, that's a pretty good goal. Yeah. Hands can feel intimidating, but they are not as intimidating as intimidating as we tend to kind of think that they are. So I wish you all the best in tackling the hands, and don't be afraid of the hands. They're more afraid of you. So go ahead and just go draw the hands. Don't be afraid. There we go. Nice, got some nice eyes. I feel like this is something that would be in like an anime or something. It's like those frames where the character does like a quick head flip. It's like, oh my gosh, what is happening over there? You can do like some action lines here. Make it feel like there's a little bit of like a head whip. Like a quick action line, kind of a smear to the face. There we go. That was pretty good. You can make it kind of, maybe it's like a anime character. Give us some like I don't know, war paint or something. Kind of like Naruto. Like in how Naruto, everybody has like a very interesting face paint and markings. A little homage to Naruto here. Give a little bit of like a earring piercing here too. He's a real edgy guy or per character over here. Okay. So I guess we will call it here. Let me see. I will try. Got any tips? Try to look more for the silhouette and the shape of the hands rather than the details. So a lot of times I think people kind of recommend, oh, draw the prisms or draw like the cylinders for the hands. I would recommend not to focus too much on that, especially if your sense of perspective and structure and volume isn't that great, but instead focus more on silhouettes and the kind of like the connection and angles between fingers and thumbs. So yeah. Give me a sec. Everybody's just ringing the doorbell today. But yeah, that's kind of it for today's stream. I hope you guys enjoyed that. As always, I will be uploading these slides and images onto Discord first, and then later on we also upload and share them on Instagram. So if you want to check out these drawings at a much more larger scale and in higher details, definitely keep an eye out on Discord and on Instagram, or even on YouTube. We posted later on in our community post. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream and learned lots, and yeah, have a good rest of the day and a good weekend, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next one. So before I go though, as always, I will say the closing statements and kind of let you guys know what the next stream will be, and that'll be it. So yeah, welcome to our, or I guess this is the end of our stream. Not really welcome, but hope you guys enjoyed this one. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome. And if you don't know who we are, at Wing Canvas, our mission is to make art education easily accessible to everyone. So you can join us for free live stream lessons on YouTube every week on Mondays at 12 p.m. Eastern and on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. And you can level up your skills with our community of art nerds. And if you didn't know, we're more than just a YouTube channel. We're an online school of illustration and we're an online school of illustration and visual storytelling dedicated to helping artists turn their passion into income. And so a huge shout out to our amazing students and members for supporting our mission. We love seeing your incredible artwork and watching you grow in our classes and weekly critiques. And if you'd like to dive deeper, you can join our Discord to access stream notes, demos, and exclusive artworks, art challenges, and more free resources to help you improve. So come connect with your fellow art nerds and get inspired. And let's see, the next stream is on Monday, and it will be Gonzalo. So keep an eye out. January 5th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time will be Gonzalo, and it will be 30 minutes to storyboard a dynamic angles with cinematic flair. Oh, that sounds interesting. And I am also going to be streaming again next Saturday, and I will be doing how to practice art effectively. So yeah, keep an eye out for those streams. Kind of, I guess, maybe mark them on your calendar if you would like, but those are the upcoming ones, and hope to catch you in our next stream. And again, hopefully you enjoy this one. It was a lot of fun drawing with all of you and chatting with you guys and sharing these drawings with you all. And yeah, have a good night, or whatever time it is for you guys over there. But stay safe, stay warm if it's cold for you guys, and have a good weekend. Bye bye.